Hello, planet Earth, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to Master English with Tim, the podcast where Tim helps you to learn English in depth and detail and without ever hurrying. I'm Tim, native speaker from the United States, teacher for almost 20 years, world traveler, speaker of French, German, Russian, and Spanish, and of course, naturally, podcaster. In this week's episode, which by the way is the 99th episode, I am going to deal with a topic that I'm very fond of, and that is the NGSL, or New General Service List, which is a list of the 2,800 most used words of English. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you know about the NGSL, but I have to say just a few words about it for new listeners. So, each word in the NGSL has a number from 1 to 2,800, and the lower the number, the more common the word is. I kind of jump around at random in this list from week to week. For example, one week I'll do 1,121 to 1,130. Another week I do 1,471 to 1,480, and so on. So usually 10 words in a single episode. This week I'm going to do words 1,801 to 1,810. So these are words that are a bit more advanced than I usually do. Now, there is one thing that I do that is special, and that is that I deal with the words in depth and detail and without ever hurrying. Actually, I think I already said that. And in the case of the NGSL, though, it means exploring the different meanings of each word one by one. So let's start. 1801, exhibition, has just one meaning. Countable noun, a group of interesting objects, for example, photos, pieces of art, historical objects, animal bones, and so on. So, a group of interesting objects of the type that I just talked about that share a common theme and that are shown publicly, usually for a limited time. 5 examples. 1. There's a photo exhibition this Sunday. Do you want to come with me? 2. The Chicago Art Museum is hosting an exhibition on ancient South Asian art. The exhibition runs from January 2nd to April 14th. 3. The Louvre has a permanent exhibition on Etruscan, Greek, and Roman art. 4. We have an exhibition center in the downtown area of our city. It has hosted all kinds of exhibitions. 5th and last, my paintings are on exhibition until the end of the month. 1802, next word, producer. 3 meanings. All of them are adjectives. First meaning, a person or organization which manufactures one or more products. 3 examples. 1. Japanese car producers control nearly 40% of the U.S. car market. 2. North American steel producers are protected from foreign competition by high import taxes. 3rd and last, Nokia is a producer of cell phones that is based in Finland. It also used to be a producer of car tires. 2nd meaning, a person who tries to convince people to invest in the making of movies, TV shows, or other performance art. 3 examples. 1. The main reason why Hollywood produces so many similar movies is that producers are confident they will earn money from them, and therefore find it easy to attract investment. 2. Experienced and successful producers can decide whether they will attempt to find investors for a particular movie project. 3rd and last, producers pulled out of the project after the lead actor quit. 3rd meaning, a person who records music and makes the recording sound as good as possible before selling it. 3 examples. 1. In the past, if you made a piece of music and wanted to sell it to the public, you had to pay a producer to make your music sound as good as possible. 2. I don't want to hire a producer for my album. I can do the work myself. 3rd and last, in the early and middle years of rock music, a handful of producers became famous for their work producing the music of the most famous artists. Next word, 1803, regional, 1 meaning. So this one is an adjective, and the meaning is referring to a region. So a region is a geographical area that has shared characteristics. 3 examples. 1. Trains used to be commonly used for regional travel in the United States, but this role has been taken by cars, buses, and airplanes. 2. One of the biggest difficulties that large countries like Nigeria, the US, or Brazil face is that regional disagreements can easily turn into national ones. 3rd and last. In the past, regional products competed successfully with national and even international ones, but this is far less often the case now. Next word, 1804, immediate. This one has 3 meanings, and all of them are adjectives. So, first meaning, happening directly after something else without a break or pause. 3 examples. 1. When my daughter told me she was going to stop studying computer science, my immediate reaction was negative because I wanted her to earn money. But then I understood that she simply didn't like what she was studying, and I changed my opinion. 2. Because the new law states that the tax increase will take place in small steps, its immediate effects will be limited. 3rd and last. When I drink coffee, it has an almost immediate impact. I feel more awake right away. 2nd meaning, happening or existing at the time of speaking. 4 examples. 1. We have more immediate problems than a few unhappy customers. We can help them later. 2. There's an immediate need for more people ready to work with the elderly. 3. The most immediate question is not whether your idea is a good one, but rather if it is possible at all. 4th and last. I was watching the news and was shocked to hear about the immediate closure of the company where I'd worked for 15 years. 3rd meaning, located directly next to something else. 3 examples. 1. Portugal and France are Spain's immediate neighbors. 2. Many parts of the United States have no public transportation in their immediate vicinity, a situation which forces people to buy more cars. 3rd and last. We're very lucky because we have 3 different parks in our immediate neighborhood, all within easy walking distance. Next word, 1805, incident. 1 meaning, and this one is a countable noun. So an incident is a bad or surprising event that is memorable, but will probably not happen again. 3 examples. 1. Don't try to act like you stealing my brownies from the fridge was an isolated incident. My food is always disappearing, and you're the only one that lives with me. 2. When the ambassador got drunk and crashed his Porsche into a swimming pool that fortunately was empty, it caused a diplomatic incident. 3. Hopefully the pandemic of 2020 to 2022 was an incident that will not repeat in the future. Next word, 1806, childhood. It has 1 meaning, and it's a countable noun, although it's almost always singular. So, the definition is the part of a person's life when they are very young. 3 examples. 1. Not everyone who has an unhappy childhood becomes an unhappy adult. 2. Childhood is different now than it was in the 1990s, when children had freedom to go and do whatever they wanted. 3rd and last. My childhood ended suddenly when my dad died, and I had to get a job to help support the family. Next word, 1807, draft. This one has 7 meanings, and there's quite a few differences between them. They're kind of in blocks, and so don't worry, I will separate them into blocks for you, tell you when we are about to transition into kind of a new group of meanings. So, first meaning, countable noun, an early and unfinished version of a text that needs to be improved before it can be published or shown to others. 3 examples. 1. In high school, students learn to first write a rough draft or very early version of a text which may not include all of the final version's main idea. Then they write a first draft which contains all of the main ideas, then a second draft which removes most errors in spelling and grammar and punctuation, and finally they write a final draft. 2. Please tell me your general opinion of my paper on the economics of electric cars, but remember that what you're reading is just a first draft. 3rd and last. I used to work until late in the night on the final drafts of the texts that I wrote, but now I just ask an AI to check them for errors in spelling. 2nd meaning. So, verb. This is the first verb of the episode, actually. Kind of crazy. So, it's to write a text, especially legislation or contracts. 3 examples. 1. Parliament is drafting a new law to organize medical care for veterans. 2. Congress drafts the texts of dozens of proposed laws every year, but not all of these texts become laws. 3rd and last. We're still drafting the contract, but fortunately, your situation is fairly typical, so soon we should move from drafting to finalizing. 3rd meaning. Again, an adjective. Used when talking about texts, especially contracts and proposed laws that have not been completed or approved. 3 examples. 1. The draft legislation, so draft legislation is again legislation that has not been completed. It's not fully written. So, number 1, the draft legislation on funding of improvements to the electrical grid is still in an early stage, and the final version could look quite different. 2. Congress is still discussing the draft legislation and hope to make compromises that all parties find acceptable. 3rd and last. I have the draft contract on my hard drive and will finish working on it this weekend. 4th meaning. Verb. This one with a meaning that's very different from the other meanings of this word so far. So I promise you that when we would transition from one meaning of draft to another, that I would tell you, and that's what I'm doing for you right now. So here's the meaning. To use a government's powers to pressure or threaten people to make them join a military service. So basically, it's the government trying to tell people, hey, you have to join the army. And by the way, in Great Britain, they don't call this drafting someone, they call it conscripting someone. In any case, I'm going to give you the word draft, the US one. 3 examples. 1. During the Second World War, hundreds of thousands of young men were drafted into the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, and these draftees were joined by many volunteers as well. 2. In the United States during the Vietnam War, 18-year-olds could be drafted to fight, but only got the right to vote at age 21. After the war, legislation was drafted and accepted, which gave 18-year-olds the right to vote. So there you could hear the 2 different meanings of draft in the same sentence. 3rd and last. He was drafted into the Army, served for several years, and then re-entered civilian life. 5th meaning. Countable noun. The practice of forcing people to serve in the Army using the government's powers to pressure or threaten. 4 examples. 1. After the Vietnam War, the draft in the United States was eliminated or abolished, and the U.S. military became a volunteer army. 2. Several countries in the world, for example Cuba, Colombia, Turkey, Finland, and both North and South Korea, still have a draft. 3. It's better to institute or introduce a draft before a major conflict rather than after one has already begun. 4th and last. Any politician who proposes reintroducing or reinstituting the draft is effectively ending her or his career. 6th meaning. Countable noun, this time with another big change in meaning. So, a cold outside wind that blows into a building through cracks or holes in the windows, walls, roof, etc. 3 examples. 1. Close the window, there's a terrible draft in here. 2. Where's that draft coming from? It's freezing in here. It can't be higher than 14 degrees. 3rd and last. In Europe, most people believe that winter drafts cause people to get sick, but in reality, the real causes are viral infections communicated by coughing and sneezing. So, 7th meaning and last, and again, this one is also quite different. So, used to talk about beer that is stored in and served from pressurized barrels rather than from bottles or cans. 3 examples. 1. I'll have a draft lager and a hamburger, please. 2. That bar has over 50 draft beers, plus another 50 types of bottled ones. 3rd and last. I've never understood why draft beer and canned beer from the same brand can taste so different. Okay, next word. 1808. Slip. 6 meanings. First meaning is a verb. To suddenly move in an uncontrolled way because the surface under you is wet. 3 examples. 1. It just snowed last night, so be careful walking outside. You might slip. 2. Let me clean the water off the kitchen floor before you start cooking. I don't want you to slip. 3rd and last. He slipped in the shower and hit his head, but fortunately he wasn't seriously hurt. So, second meaning is a verb also. To quickly hand an object to someone so that others don't see you do it. 3 examples. 1. Her boss paid her illegally. Once a month, they would meet in a cafe and she would slip an envelope full of money to her under the table. 2. During the test, the teacher saw how one student slipped me a small piece of paper with the answers on it. He took the slip, threw it out, and gave me and my friend a 0 on the test. Not a true story. 3rd and last, she pressed her hand to mine, slipping me a business card with her phone number on it. 3rd meaning is also a verb. To quickly push an object through a small hole or opening. 3 examples. 1. He slipped a piece of paper with his phone number on it under the door. 2. We slipped a birthday card into our colleague's mailbox at work. 3rd and last. Elaine slipped a small note into my shirt pocket. So the remaining 3 meanings are nouns. So first meaning here is a small piece of paper with writing or drawings on it. 3 examples. 1. Here, write your email on this slip. 2. I had a slip with her phone number on it but lost it. Fortunately, I had taken a picture of the slip. 3rd and last. I was a teacher for many years, and often I would find slips of paper with unpleasant comments or funny drawings about me on them. At first they bothered me, but then I learned not to care. Second meaning is a noun. A piece of women's clothing. So this is a very short dress made of thin, light material that fits close to the body and is usually worn to bed. So, 3 examples. 1. A lot of women wear a t-shirt to bed nowadays instead of a slip. 2. Give her a minute to get dressed. She's wearing nothing but a slip. 3rd and last. She bought a bunch of slips from Amazon and had them shipped to her house. Final meaning as a noun. This is a small, not serious mistake. 4 examples. 1. Don't worry about slips in your grammar. What matters is that you speak well enough for people to understand you. 2. As people get older, they start to ask themselves if forgetting this or that piece of information is just a slip or a sign of a serious memory problem. 3. You promised me you'd stop smoking, but I smell smoke in your clothes. I hope it's just a slip and not a sign that you'll start smoking every day again soon. 4th and last. I didn't mean to say my ex's name to you. It was just a slip of the tongue. So next word. This is the second to last word. It is 1809, accompany. There are 2 meanings. Both of them are verbs. First meaning, to go with someone to another place. 4 examples. 1. Shall I accompany you to the opera this Wednesday evening? 2. She was always accompanied by a younger man 20 centimeters shorter than her, and everyone wondered what their relationship was. 3. Don't worry, I'll accompany you to the bus station, and will only leave after you've gotten on the bus. 4th and last. Blind people's dogs are allowed to accompany them almost everywhere, even into restaurants. 2nd and last meaning. To happen or be present at the same time as another event. 1. The tragic wars of the 20th century caused millions of death, but they were also accompanied by advances in technology, especially in aviation. Now, with that, I don't want to say that it was actually worth it. 2. People who live very separate from others are often no longer able to compare themselves to other people, so their isolation is often accompanied by irrational pride. 3rd and last. Our football team's victory was accompanied by loud celebrations in the streets until the early morning. Okay, last word, 1810, politician, just 1 meaning. A person who works in the government and who works to create laws or policies. So in other words, this is not a judge and it's not a bureaucrat, it's someone who has probably been elected. 3 examples. 1. Politicians often make promises but rarely keep them. 2. It's no secret that politicians lie to get elected. 3rd and last. If you don't like what the government is doing, call your politicians and tell them you'll vote for them only if they solve the problem. Okay, everyone, thanks once more for listening. I hope this episode really enriched your vocabulary, and I will see you all next Monday for the 100th episode.